police reports, police reports,
Well,
police
the three
reports.
boys that broke into the business, all of them got charges against them.
Yeah, we'll see that, and that will be obviously criminal activity.
Right.
So, thank you. We've got a couple more folks. I think Councilor House wants to speak.
Thank you very much.
Well, I have a question for the city attorney, just to make sure I understand what you said about revoking the business license. That was convictions against the owner or the agent of the owner, not the residents of the house.
It's the agent.
Correct. Owner or manager or their agent.
Okay, so any kind of conviction against the young men, unless it falls under the violence, drugs, so forth, doesn't help us as far as
license
taking action on
revocation,
license.
right, that wouldn't
Okay.
apply.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, thank you.
Okay, Councilor Davis.
Say, Linda.
Well, I think everybody knows that not long ago I talked lengthily and passionately on this subject, but I can tell you this, we've got a lot of work to do. I'm very thankful that the city manager gave us a solution in trying to understand what exactly we're dealing with, and I think it's been eye-opening, to say the least. What you see is, you know, I don't know how many times I talked about supervision and oversight. I said it many times, and you know, it's starting to become an issue where a few are given a bad name to many, and those few are becoming increasing. But Madam Mayor, this is something that we as a collective body need to understand and we need to address. And I know we're not going to do it here today, but these things that we're working on, I'm glad Director Jones is involved, but you've got a situation where Muskogee County is #1 in the state, and many more applications and people in the process of lining up and to do this kind of stuff in Muskogee County. Why? I ask myself, why? And what really has been eye-opening to me is what we're talking about, and this is where I think we really need to understand this, is the amount of resources that's being allocated to this matter. These are called personal home care, or actually we found out that there's not even a category that we're dealing with here. It should be totally different. I think that's going to be coming to this body here soon. But whether it's a youth home or a personal care home, you've got a tremendous amount of resources that's being allocated to this, and things that are happening out there that we're totally unaware of, or just oblivious to. So we did do something as far as reaching out to, and we're reaching out to our elected officials to try to help them to get some lines of communication open, because that seems to be one of the problems, is nobody knows what is happening. But these matters are greater than what's being perceived, and being presented before. So just want to make sure that everybody understands that. And I'm hoping that we can address it collectively and deal with it, because it's a problem. It's a problem. And I'm just telling you, I wasn't even aware of it until we've started looking into this. So hopefully we can find a way to deal with this matter, because it doesn't go away. It tends to get worse.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
And I believe this is, Mr. City Manager, isn't it coming back on the work session? Is this one of our topics that we'll be discussing? Not at this one? Okay, yeah, but we've got that teed up, Councilor Davis, to come back soon. So, all right. Next we have on our public agenda, Mr. John Harrison. Did Mr. Harrison last the long haul? Well, maybe poor Mr. Harrison. I'm sure I want to apologize to him for the fact that we've gone on this evening, but obviously it's been very important issues. So hopefully he'll come on back, and we'll be able to hear his concerns. With that, then we'll move into the city manager's agenda. Mr. Hughley, you want to hit your mic there? There you go.
Madam Mayor, we have one item we would like to add to the legislative agenda. As you know, Chief Rick Boring came to the Hometown Connection, and he made the point or shared his concern that the police department, sheriff, are both having to deal with. And so we are requesting the legislative delegation to amend the Georgia law so as to relieve counties, police chiefs, and sheriffs from bearing transportation costs and related expenses when juveniles are ordered to be transported to or from a facility outside the jurisdiction of the juvenile court hearing such a matter.
Got a motion and second for approval. Is there any discussion? Okay, you may record your votes electronically. And it passes.
Next, I've got a sidewalk variance at 4306 15th Avenue, and we are requesting you authorize a variance to the city code delaying the construction of sidewalk along the right-of-way frontage at this location until sidewalks are installed on adjacent properties.
Got a motion and second for approval. Is there any discussion? All right, you may record your votes electronically. And it passes.
Got a street acceptance at Charleston Way, a portion of Ariana Drive, at Sullivan Drive, and that portion of Sullivan's Drive located in replat of Section 1 Charleston Place. It's been improved and meet the required specification for acceptance by the city.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. There's no discussion, so you may record your votes electronically. And it passes. Oh, wait, hold on, we got one more. There we go. Okay, there we go. Sorry.
Got a quit claim property at 2362 South Andrews Road and 0 Casita Road. After conducting research, we discovered the properties were quit claimed to the city without the city's knowledge or consent, and we've had our lawyer look at it and has rendered a legal opinion to the matter and determined if the city does not wish to keep the property, we would need to renounce the quit claim, reconvey the property back to the original owner. And the city does not have a need for this property and would like council's approval to do exactly what has been provided by our lawyer. With the city owning the properties, we can tell you that it increases liability, our maintenance costs, and takes additional properties off the tax roll, and we do not need it. And so we're asking your approval to...
Got a motion and second for approval. There's no discussion, so you may record your votes electronically. And I think we've got one more. Who's missing? Okay, that's it. It passes.
We've got, next I've got property acquisition, 2212 First Avenue, asking approval to purchase this property at $15,000 to include closing costs in an effort to assemble land in the city village redevelopment area. The property will be purchased utilizing CDBG funds. It was recently appraised at $15,000. The owner has agreed to sell the property to the city for fair market value minus closing costs. And so that total purchase is $15,000. And again, it will allow us to assemble parcels a property in the city village for future redevelopment. We're asking your approval.
All right, we've got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, you may record your votes electronically. Let's see. Somebody, Councilor Woodson.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, and it does pass.
Next, I've got temporary use of special event permit for Dimensions Adventure Zone. they received authorization to host a haunted house at as a special event from October 5th through October 29th, and the company would like to extend the special event until November 4th, 2019.
Got a motion and second for approval. There being no discussion, you may record your votes electronically.
And Madam Mayor, I just want to ensure that this says 2019, but it should be 2018, so that's a correction. November 4th, 2018.
All right, thank you.
I've got a fiscal year 2020 grant application for planning assistance. Georgia DOT is contributing $119,396, the city $13,000.
Okay, we've got a motion and second for approval of the grant application. There's no further discussion, so you may record your votes electronically. And it passes.
So I have purchases, and you've already approved F. And so the first one is fire sprinkler service and inspections. It's with Protect Fire Protection Systems, Inc.
Okay, we've got a motion for approval of A through E and G, and a second. Is there any discussion on any one of these items, A through E and then G? We've got fire sprinkler services and inspection annual contract, self-propelled scissors lift, a contract extension for long-distance telephone services, payment for local phone service billing, a service maintenance plan for fire EMS burn building, and a statement of work number 3 for CGI Advantage 360 software as a service agreement. There being no discussion or call to pull any of those, you may record your votes electronically. Let's see, Councilor Davis and yeah, that's it. Okay. All right.
We've got a couple of 2018-19 VOCA grants, Victim Witness Assistance Program grants for the Solicitor General. And the first one is for the salary of a victim advocate investigator. It's $49,260.86. The second one for a domestic violence assistant solicitor is $67,209.07. The third is a salary supplement for a program director. It's $12,000. And the fourth for additional operating expenses, $6,000.
Got a motion and second for approval. There's no further discussion, so you may record your votes electronically. And it passes.
And the last item I've got, Madam Mayor, is a update on small cell towers. And I've got Director Donna Newman here, the engineering director, and Rick Jones, our planning director.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. We want to talk to you briefly here tonight about what small cells are and what the impact could be and will be on Columbus over the next several months and years as we go along. We want to talk about, give you an idea what small cells really are, what cell towers versus small cells, and what that really means to us from that. Set aside this idea about small cell regulation, and then also show you the existing small cell sites we have in the community as a whole. Just so you understand now, small cells really consist of small radio equipment. That's what it really boils down to. They're not the height you'll see of a regular cell tower, for instance, from that. These things can be placed on street lights, sides of buildings, or poles. In Columbus, they probably will not be allowed on a street light because they are owned by Georgia Power. And Georgia Power does not allow coexisting of equipment on those kind of structures. They can transmit data, which is what they really are designed to do, using mid and high-speed band spectrums throughout the community that cannot really travel far. These are you're going to find out, these are small cells that are there to transmit data. They do handle phone calls, but their primary function is to transmit data, and it's over a short range, whereas particularly where they don't have enough coverage from the cell tower itself, where they can't handle that kind of volume. This is largely due, you and I are largely the culprits on this, because if you have the cell phone and you require the use of data or any type of information, we're now draining really some of these cell tower sites, and they can't keep up with the demand. You hear it, you're going to hear it, you're going to hear a lot more about in dealing with this thing called 5G technology, which is merely the 5th generation, which is actually speeding up the data and getting the data to more folks as we go along. It does promise greater speeds, response times, connectivity. This is particularly important to a lot of folks if you're downloading, say, a video or something to that effect, and you want to watch it on your phone. It'll speed that process up, supposedly on that. Nationwide, not Columbus now, but nationwide, there were 13,000 small cells deployed in 2017. By 2026, they are estimating there'll be over 800,000 of these small cells throughout the country. They are there for a purpose, and we want to explain it to you. Let me show you, this gives you an idea, talking about cell towers versus these small cells. On the left-hand side of this slide is a regular cell tower for the most part. What it talks about here is it's good for voice. Data signals can travel, can degrade really over a certain amount of time or in distance itself. The small cells are good for voice and data, but they're compressed. They can only go so far out in terms of what the signal they send for the area. And you can see by the rating system this slide gives in terms of voice versus data, the small cells can do both. But again, they are restricted in terms of how far they can actually send that signal out. Towers are really best for low-density populations. That's kind of a misnomer in some regard, because all we see in Columbus are the cell towers, but they're covering a wider area, a broader area. The smaller cells will be more compressed, as I said, and they'll serve primarily the area they're in, and not necessarily a wide scheme of things from that. This is an argument you're going to hear in dealing from the state legislature in terms of some of the action they've got going on now, that the small cells, for the most part, should be in the rural areas. But that's reverse thinking here, really, because these small cells are really designed just to hold on to those smaller areas around them and not really designed for the rural areas themselves. There are 3 facets to this thing you need to understand about in dealing with cell regulation. They are the Federal Communications Commission, which is the FCC, the Georgia State Legislature, and of course, the Columbus Consolidated Government, and the role we play in regulation of any type of wireless device like this. And I want to go through this somewhat briefly and not overwhelm you with this, but you should know that back in 1996, the Wireless Communication Act was passed by Congress. The FCC was required to enforce it. It preserved the fact that where we could actually locate some of these cell towers through our zoning process. And we took that on in 1999 in terms of putting that ordinance together and make sure we could control them. It requires that there has to be a reasonable period of time in terms of responding back to an applicant. Now that time frame is 90 days, or at least it was when the act was passed in 1996. And this is what they call the shot clock. But we have 90 days basically to respond to an applicant. By the time they make an application to us, whether it goes through inspection code or engineering or even through the planning department, we have to have that response back in a 90-day time frame. We have to have substantial evidence when we make a decision about a cell tower now, particularly if you're going to deny one. It can't be just because we don't want it or we don't like the color of it or things like that. It has to be a substantial reason why we don't want a particular cell tower in that particular part of the community. And it also ensures that carriers are allowed to provide cell service in the community. They are considered, like any other public utility, as a necessity for the community to thrive and deal with. And we understand that. I think we all agree the fact that cell service is an important factor in our lives now and in the life of this community. We cannot deny that. By law, by federal law, we cannot deny or restrict that. We have to make a reasonable allowance in allowing folks to come in to a community and provide cell service for us. And we certainly have done that since 1999. In September of this year, September 26 exactly, an edict was written by the Federal Communication Commission is calling this long name of Accelerating Wireless Broadband Deployment by Removing Barriers to Infrastructure Investment. Say that fast 3 times. This creates now a 60-day shot clock for us in terms of when we get an application now for a small cell, we have to respond within 60 days on that. Otherwise, we are in violation of the law from that standpoint. It limits our application fees. We don't charge $500 for 5 sites, but that's what this edict now says to us. This directive now says to communities, and then the $100 for each site after that. It would limit our right-of-way fees to $270 per site per year, and it would also limit our local control of aesthetics in dealing with these poles, including this idea of minimum spacing.
Yeah, Councilor Woodson would like to ask a question.
Rick, out of curiosity, because I'm having problems right now with this this situation, because I brought one, I think it was like 2 weeks ago to council, and I brought the picture where, you know, we're being forced to allow this in neighborhoods, but we're putting people in a dangerous situation because the wiring and I guess the box, whatever you call it, the generator box, it's at a person's level. I mean, I can't understand that. And then, you know, I'm just having a hard time. And I think to get a vote from me lately is going to kind of be tough, because we're putting our citizens and our children at harm. I know it's a federal, because Isaiah already told me it's a federal law. There's not a whole lot of control we have. But we got to come up with something. There's got to be something that can be, you know, done. And are these fees that we set, or is this the fee that comes from the federal and state?
These are the fees that come now from the federal government.
Okay. So we couldn't even increase them if we wanted to make it expensive for them.
They've basically taken away local control.
Exactly.
Well, we need to educate our communities on it. Well, because the citizens I know my constituent thinks I don't care. You know, and I do, because I call Donna, I think it was late at night, early in the morning, on the weekend. I mean, I brought the picture here. The citizens, we need to do an educational piece on our access channel to let them know that this is out of our control. This is not something that we're putting in place, because I still have a big concern that someone's gonna, you know, nowadays people don't value life. And I'm worried that somebody's gonna have a problem and pull those wires, break into them just for fun, for a drug initiative, you know, not a drug, a gang initiative or something. You know,
And so, Mayor, Council, we met with one of the providers today, just before council meeting, and at the end of his update, I think he's going to share with you the progress that we made today, and so I think, you know, we're going to do as much as we can within what we have, and we don't have much, because we can't even go out there and tell them where to put it on the right-of-way. We don't have a right to do that. And so, in other words, if they want to put it here and we say, well, would you go down 10 feet? And we're going to put it right here.
I already experienced that.
And so, but he's going to get to some of this as he goes through the presentation.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sorry, Rick. This is very sensitive to me, because I was very, very upset. I'm still upset each time I drive by there. And so I'm annoyed, so I'm sorry. Continue.
Well, let me proceed on, you know, and I'll try to be again brief about this. But the one thing you need to carry away from this whole presentation, I think, is this last statement on this slide, that there is a misconception nationwide that cities are basically opposed to these kind of operations coming into their community, dealing with small cells or cell towers, and nothing can be further from the truth. I've already said that to you, that we have to not have to, we want to be welcoming about the fact about the service these companies provide us, because we all depend upon them. But there is that misconception on the federal level anyway right now that we just don't want these kind of operations in there. From the Georgia State Legislature, you should know that there is Title 46 called Public Utilities and Public Transportation, which is part of the Georgia Code now that addresses the needs on right-of-ways and right-of-way access and things of that nature. That's already in place, and we are adhering to that on a day-to-day basis. However, this last legislative session, at least 2 more bills were passed, or at least introduced. They were not passed, excuse me. One is Senate Bill 426, entitled Broadband Infrastructure Leads to Development Act. This was designed, or at least given the impression that the idea was provide cellular service to the rural areas of the state, which I'm wholeheartedly in support of. I think they need to have that kind of issue. But the idea also was, though, this bill, if it passed, would have told us pretty much that we don't have any control of our right-of-way inside the city of Columbus. That pretty much we need to stay away from it in terms of limiting where we can prohibit them or how we can regulate them, what we can charge for the right-of-way cost itself. Those are all important issues to us. This bill, it passed, when I'm understanding it actually passed the House and was amended to address more of the EMC's needs in terms of dealing with cellular service. But it didn't make it to the Senate because it was in the last day, the last hour, the last day, and so forth. It didn't cross back over to the House for approval. But it's out there still for consideration. I'm sure it'll come back up this next session. And then this House Bill 887, this Georgia Communications Service Act, was another one that was ideal, was to limit and deny, or ability to deny new pole applications, allow for 120 permits at a time, grant approvals for our applications after 75 days, and then cap the rental rate on right-of-way as well. It didn't make it out yet, but it's still there for consideration this next go-around. Those are important things because, again, we lose control of what we're trying to deal with on our right-of-ways. And as I've said before, and I'll say it again to you, our intent about this whole thing is not to deny cell service, but we are trying to look at the safety of where these things go, these structures go, because they could be a hindrance in terms of dealing with traffic. If you have a wreck, you run into a pole, we're liable for if you've done that. If there's no coordination between these utilities and the existing utilities already in the ground, we have a real problem as well, particularly from the engineering standpoint. They need to know where these units are going and make sure there are no problems in terms of coordination of the utilities and not impacting somebody else.
Rick, we have a question from Councilor Thomas.
Mr. Jones, do these 2 bills automatically roll over into the next session?
So.
Do we?
I think they've got to introduce them over again, and the bill number might change, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
and refresh my memory, we didn't have anything of this on our agenda, did we? Addressing this issue?
Yeah, I think we did.
Okay. Let's just make sure that our folks are real cognizant of our position on this.
And I do think we've gotten their attention, our local delegation, so I think.
Good, good.
But the third factor we're trying to achieve here is the aesthetics part of it, making sure that it is appealing to the community, that it's not going to be a hindrance to Councilor Woodman's neighborhoods or any of your neighborhoods for that matter, in terms of.
Well, I would hope that our delegation would help keep us informed as these come up and maybe as they go to committee, so that if we need to send people to the Capitol to testify to the committees and so forth, I think you're right, Mr. Jones. We're not trying to stop where they are needed, but we are trying to give the local municipalities some say-so in what's going on.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think we have people who could go and testify to those things. Thank you.
From the city standpoint and the regulation itself, we really established this wireless communication. I have on here 2005, meaning it changed it. We actually did this back in 1999. I went back to research a little bit more. And we were probably one of the first communities in the state, maybe in the southeast, that actually dealt with controlling of cell towers as a whole. Because we were concerned they were all going to be lumped into one area and impact that area, and with no control, again, over the aesthetics or the placement of those. In 2016, we put regulations in place to deal with these small cells in public right-of-ways by establishing where you could actually locate the pole. We established construction standards. We dealt with aesthetics, and we dealt with the height of that particular structure itself. This all came about because of the fact of we had an issue of a contractor wanting to come in here in 2016 and establish a pole, really a cell tower, small cell tower, about 100 feet right in front of the Bradley Company down here on front. Nobody would know anything about it. It's just going to show up on the right-of-way. And we said we just can't have that. And that's how we got to the point now of establishing these regulations in place, because it just wasn't suitable for the community as a whole. We could see this happening all over the place. And come to think of it, I think we also had another one up on Armour Road right there close to the Manchester Expressway as well. To date, we got this now between 25 and 30 new applications have been submitted that some of you have already got phone calls about. We want to talk about that just a little bit more as well. And the greatest potential impact, of course, of this are these poles just showing up overnight in neighborhoods, particularly those neighborhoods whose utilities are underground, and all of a sudden they have a pole sitting in their front yard they're not aware of. That's a concern we're trying to strive for. This is a map. I know it's a little bit difficult to see on here, so we include this map. It's on the very back of your handout, a little bit larger. You can see, you can see the number of actual sites throughout the city itself in terms of what's been actually being constructed, what's incomplete right now. Well, there's also a listing of addresses on here as well to give you an idea about where these permits are being issued now. We're going to show you some pictures here too of this. I mean, and this is going to be kind of like a before and after type thing, and I'll let the city manager explain that to you in just a second. But these are the poles we have right here now close to Amber Drive. This is actually one of these on the right, actually in front of Kendrick High School, one a little bit further down the street. This is a wood pole. That thing on top of it is the actual antenna or radio device itself. You can also see the equipment that's hanging off the poles. As Councilor Woodson has pointed out, they're pretty much at eye level, and they're easy to access for anybody. This is the one that Councilor Woodson brought us a couple of weeks back out there on Ramsey Road itself. Again, you see the wood pole and the equipment out there from that one. This is at Garrett Creek in Glen Valley. This doesn't have the equipment on it. It's got a box on there for the power, but then it may have other items talked about now. But this is, again, a wooden pole out there. In this particular case, you can see on the left-hand side in that picture, the street lights are actually metal. But I don't want to get ahead of myself here on this. This is Park Court and Eagle Drive. Same thing for the most part, dealing with the poles there. Broadstone Court and Broadfield Drive, you can see these poles. There's nothing else out there. They're higher than the actual street lights in some cases, but they just kind of stick out and are very noticeable from that standpoint. This is the development that's happened along Wellesley Boulevard, close to the apartments out there. This just shows these metal poles actually going in. In this particular case, this is a good example of how they can actually blend into the neighborhood or into the community as a whole. Because you have, in this case, you have on one side, and the right side of the picture, you have the street signal itself, and on the opposite side of that small cell is actually one of the street lights for the area itself. Mr. City Manager, you want to go ahead and explain now at this point about what happened today?
Well, I'll just say that we, the Assistant City Attorney and our staff, the Engineering Director, Planning Director, and a few other staff met with one of with the company who has actually placed 28 poles in Columbus. They've gotten all these permits, and we let them know the concern of council. I told them I've heard from Councilor House and his concern, and Councilor Allen, and Councilor Woodson brought a photo, and all of the others, you guys, I told them you've expressed concerns, and and we ask them to make sure that they, when they go into a neighborhood, if there's underground utility, you don't go in and put a wood pole, and you don't just go and put a wood pole anywhere in any neighborhood. And we had very candid discussion, you know, with him. And so, since we've left that meeting, I received an email that said that the gentleman called back and said they would replace all the residential poles that are wooden. We had the conversation that we had about Ramsey Road, obviously made an impression upon him, and he wanted us to know at this meeting. We talked to him about replacing the wood poles with, I guess, metal
Yes, sir.
poles that are maybe black, and we even talked to him about the possibility of the boxes on the outside, putting them on the inside of the pole, and that kind of thing, that aesthetically it just will have a better appearance. And the one thing that I like in this email that I got back, our lawyer said that they wanted to be clear that they will treat all the neighborhoods the same. And so I take that to be that they're not going to go in one neighborhood and put a metal pole, in another neighborhood and put a wood pole. And so we're going to continue to have conversation with them, and we know that the law is on their side, and so we need to negotiate and be pushy and get what we can. And I expressed to him very candidly that we would like to be able to say to other cities and counties that, you know, though the law is not on our side, they are working with us. And so I told them I would love to be able to say that, and I hope that we can work together, that we will be able to say it. And quite frankly, I told him otherwise, I'm going to fight him every step of the way. I mean, it was just that candid. So
Got a whole bunch of counselors lined
I'll
up
leave it at
to
that.
chat. We've
But
got,
we're headed in the right direction with the limited powers that we have.
okay, we've got the Mayor Pro Tem.
I guess I can just say thank you, Mr. City Manager, because my question was going to be about the appearance of the poles. And they had the cutest poles in the commercial area, the zone area, and in the residential areas. And it didn't matter where they were, they had the wooden poles. But thank you for addressing that.
Okay. We've got Councilor House.
Well, first, thank you for all the work that y'all have done to try to make this better. I had spoken with Mr. Haynes, I think that's who you met with last week, and to answer Councilor Woodson's question about why the boxes are the level that they are, he told me that the cell phone carrier wanted all the boxes where a repair person, could stand on a 3-foot ladder and reach them. And I commented to him that, of course, that puts them at the level where somebody walking by could also do damage to it if they so chose, and he noted that. But anyway, that was the reason he gave me for why all those boxes are where you see them on the side of the pole.
Okay. Let's see, Councilor Woodson.
I just want to say to Rick, to poor Donna, who I drove crazy, and Isaiah, I trust you, and I thank you very much, and Councilor House for making that call too, because it's very important for our constituents to know that even if our hands are tied, we're going to do our best. And I want to thank you so much, because tomorrow morning I can walk over there and let the neighbor know this ugly pole is going to disappear, prettier pole will be there, but unfortunately, it has to be there. But it will be appealing to you and what you have done in our community to enhance it. So from the bottom of my heart, Isaiah, I'm sorry I gave you a hard time. Publicly, I say sorry to you and Donna and Rick, but thank you very much. Sometimes I got to be ugly, but I love you.
Well, and I appreciate that, but I want to be sure to say that our lawyers were out front on this.
Well, thank you
And-
too, Clifton,
and,
for our lawyers.
And we've got to express appreciation to them for their work, and we've got to express appreciation to the company
Yes.
for being willing to go out there and bear the expense of replacing. And so we know that that's going to be cost for material and cost for labor. And so we do thank them, and that this is the kind of cooperation and that we need from them, that we will be able to say to others that though the law is not necessarily, it doesn't favor us, this company has worked with us to, they heard us and they listened, and they're doing something to help us.
Well, to that company too, publicly, I say thank you.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
We have Councilor Davis.
Mr. City Manager, this presentation gives us the assurance that things are being worked on locally and also through our elected state representatives, so that's a good thing. Hopefully we can make progress. I will just say this, a lot of this, it's hard to really perceive it or understand it because there's so much common sense. I mean, it's just common sense kind of approach to this thing. But, you said something a little while ago that you stated that the law is on their side, but, when these poles are being placed right on the edge of the road, by the curb and gutter, is the law going to be on somebody's side when some young kid hits one of those poles and loses their life? I ask that question. To me, it's more of a safety hazard than anything.
Yeah.
So who's responsible?
And that's an excellent
Is
question,
everybody
because we have no
blind
control
eye
or
to
say.
it? I mean, it's our right of way, but that concerns me more than anything. Aesthetics is one thing, but the location. I think everybody understands the technology and they can accept a lot of this stuff, but, the location and aesthetics is a big thing. Certainly when it's a common sense issue that somebody, it's probably worse than going down 2nd Avenue, to be honest with you. Pole sitting right on top of the street. So that really concerns me. But again, thank you for the presentation, the assurance that we're trying to do something positive here, make a difference. Hopefully they'll just work with us and understand, because it's, like I said, it seems to be common sense.
All right, that concludes discussion there. And anything else? Okay, we'll turn it over then to our clerk, Lindsay, and let her go through her agenda. Thank you, Mr. City Manager.
Madam Mayor and Council, on the clerk's agenda, item number 1 is an application submitted by the Columbus Diagnostic Imaging Center. Item number 2 is a bio sketch from Ms. Renee Sturkey. Item number 3 is the FY18 report from the Columbus Department of Public Health. Items 4 and 5 are street closures. Item number 6 is a resignation from Ms. Josina Pittman Green from her position on the Uptown Facade Board. It can be received.
Got a motion that it be received with regrets, and a second by Councilor Allen. All those in favor, please state aye.
Item number 7 is a resignation from Mr. Norman Hardman, who's resigning from his seat on the Building Authority of Columbus. It can be received.
We've got a motion and second that it be received with regrets. All those in favor, please state aye.
Item number 8 is a resolution excusing the absence of Councilor Allen from the last meeting.
We've got a motion. Is there a second? Second. All right. All those in favor, please state aye.
Item number 9 is a resolution excusing Mayor Pro Tem.
Got a motion and second. All those in favor, please state aye.
Item number 10 is a resolution changing the meeting schedule for December 2018. We're changing.
Okay. Do y'all want to do motions on both of them, which is changing the meetings from, which is changing the meeting schedule December 4th, proclamation resolution, to also be a regularly scheduled meeting, and December 11th to a regular meeting at 9 a.m.
The add-on resolution for
Well, it looks
January.
like that was going to make that the next motion just because it was 2 different
Okay.
months, but Since we've got that on the floor, all those in favor, please state aye. Okay, so those were the December meetings, and then,
We have a December meeting, typically we would have it the fourth Tuesday. Are we going to cancel that one?
That one was canceled in the resolution.
that was already, I believe, was it already canceled?
No. It was, we rescheduled the regular session for the first Tuesday in December, and we canceled the fourth Tuesday. It's listed in the resolution.
So in the resolution, it states that we're canceling the meeting on Christmas
Yes.
Day, December 25th, and we're moving it to December 4th, so that's what you just approved. The one that says December 4th, yeah.
We take that, leave that.
Because you're not going to be here on Christmas? No. All right, good. I think we've got December covered. So now, Madam Clerk, it looks like it's canceling the January 1, New Year's Day, 5:30 PM meeting, which will be a proclamation resolution. Is there a motion for that?
Second.
And a second. All right, all those in favor, please state aye.
Second.
And a motion and second that the minutes be received, and that's the Deferred Compensation Board, the Animal Control Advisory Board, the Board of Health, the Board of Tax Assessors, the Building Authority of Columbus, the Civic Center Aquatics Commission, the Columbus Convention and Visitors Bureau, Keep Columbus Beautiful Commission, and Uptown Facade. All those in favor, please state aye.
Under the board appointments, there's a seat open on the Airport Commission. I have reached out to them to see if he is interested, and they are clarifying that they do not fall under the exemption rule for the two-term limit. For the Board of Health, Dr. James Lopez, his seat is open, and he is eligible to succeed himself.
Does he want to be reappointed?
As far as I know, he is.
Okay, I'll confirm.
The Airport Commission, they're verifying with their director. I sent them the resolution showing where they are exempt, but they want to make sure.
Maybe you can put that there.
For Dr. Carlos Wise's seat, Counselor Barnes is nominating Dr. Sylvester McRae, and I will bring this back at the next meeting for confirmation. Under the Building Authority of Columbus, Mr. Norman Hardman's resignation was listed. This is the mayor's appointment, and she is nominating Renee Sturkey, and she can be confirmed.
Got a motion and second for confirmation. All those in favor, please state aye.
Community Development Advisory Council, Districts 3 and 6 are still open. The Circle Commission still has 2 seats available. On the Cooperative Extension Advisory Board, Dr. Sharon Kelly, her seat is open. She is eligible to succeed herself.
Does she want?
Okay. Got a motion. Is there a second?
We'll bring this one back.
I'm sorry, you're absolutely right. Excuse me.
For the Hospital Authority of Columbus, we have 2 seats open, Mike Welch and Dr. John Kingsbury. The authority has suggested 3 nominees for each seat, and they can be nominated.
I move approval of nomination of the 3, both for Mr. Welch's seat and Dr. Kingsbury.
Okay, it's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Oh, do you have to bring that back too?
No, ma'am. I can submit these to the authority.
Okay, thanks. All those in favor, please state aye. Okay.
On the Housing Authority of Columbus, Ms. Tiffany Stacy, her seat is open. She is eligible to succeed herself, and she is interested, Mayor. This is your appointment.
I will nominate Ms. Stacy.
She can be confirmed.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second for confirmation. All those in favor, please state aye.
On the Land Bank Authority, Patrick Coleman, he is eligible to succeed himself. Mayor, this is your appointment.
Now, who's this? Which one's this?
Patrick Coleman.
Oh, okay, that's a new one to me. I will work hard on getting somebody.
He is eligible to serve again.
Oh, he can serve him, okay, well,
Yes,
certainly.
ma'am.
Well, is he interested?
He is.
Okay, then I'll renominate him.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second. All those in favor, please state aye.
Mayor Tomlinson is nominating Tyler Pritchard for the seat of Justin Krieg, and he can be confirmed.
We got a motion and second for confirmation. All those in favor, please state aye.
And the seat of Carson Cummings is still open. This is council's appointment. On the Personnel Review Board, we have several...
For
which
it has to be
For Land Bank?
to
Okay.
take Carson Cummins' place. Okay, good.
I will bring this back at the next meeting, Counselor Davis. On the Personnel Review Board, we have several seats open, and I have not been able to confirm with the HR Director if they are interested. The seats of Darlene Porter Small and Dennis Walsh, they are both open, and they are both eligible to succeed themselves. Ms. Gladys Williams-Tillman, her seat is open. She is not eligible to serve. And, yes, sir? I have not. I usually confirm with the director. And Ms. Margie Watson, she resigned at the last meeting. On the Recreation Advisory Board, Districts 1, 3, 5, and 6 are open. On District 1, that seat is declared as vacant. District 3, Letitia Stevens Archibald, she is eligible to succeed herself. She can be confirmed.
Got a motion and second. All those in favor, please state aye.
Districts 5 and 6, those seats are vacant as their members have resigned. On the Tree Board, Ms. Cassie Renfro, her seat is still open, and we have contacted Keep Columbus Beautiful as a referral from Councilor Woodson. On the Uptown Facade Board, Councilor Davis has renominated Mr. Alan Udley, and he can be confirmed.
Got a motion and second for confirmation. All those in favor, please state aye.
Ms. Josina Pittman Green, her resignation letter is listed. The two seats for Uptown Business Association are both still open, and Uptown Columbus is nominating Hannah Israel for the seat of Steve Morris, and she can be nominated and confirmed. Hannah Israel, she can be nominated, is that?
Yeah.
Okay, and she can be confirmed.
All right, we've got a motion and second for confirmation. All those in favor, please state aye.
And on the Youth Advisory Council, District 2 is still open, and that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Okay, great. Thank you. We did have a request for an executive session on a matter of personnel. If I could get a motion, please.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and second. All those in favor, please state aye. Great, thank you. Please clear the chambers. Thank you all. Yep. All right, we're back on. We've just exited executive session on personnel, matters of personnel, and no votes were taken. Yes, a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All right, all those in favor, please state aye. All right, we're adjourned. We'll see you next week for a work session and business meeting.
Sewer lines can clog easily when we flush the wrong things down the drain. Columbus Waterworks would like to remind the community that the toilet is not a trash can. Never flush fats or food, syringes, paper towels, or cleaning wipes, even if they are labeled as flushable. These things don't break down like toilet paper, causing clogged pipes, pumps, and sewer backups into your home. As a rule, if it's not human waste or toilet paper, use the trash can. Just a friendly reminder from Columbus Waterworks, serving our community and protecting the environment.
Each year, more than 350 million pairs of shoes are tossed in our landfills, taking about 1,000 years to decompose. So don't throw them out, donate them instead. Drop them off on these dates at these locations and we'll send them to developing countries around the world. It keeps them from taking up space in our landfills and helps provide footwear to those who really could use it. Our goal, 1,200 bags of shoes of all sizes. Got a pair you can spare? It's the 2018 Shoe Recycling Campaign, sponsored in part by Keep Columbus Beautiful and WLTZ First News.
Hi, I'm Lynn Whitfield, and you're watching CCG TV.
Welcome to another program all about vets. Now, what's the teaser? The teaser is I have not had any guests from this organization in 3 years. That's a long time, and you probably don't remember. But it was a good show, and let me think, it's all about upward mobility. So I'll see you on the other end of this commercial.
Columbus, Georgia, tracking your waste pickup is now at your fingertips. Download the new Columbus Recycle app to your mobile device now. It's easy, and most of all, it's free. Simply go to the App Store or Google Play, search Columbus Consolidated Government, download the app, then enter your street address. No more guessing or calling about recyclable items, garbage, other waste pickups, or holiday makeup days. This app can also send you a reminder 24 hours in advance. Download this amazing app now. Columbus Consolidated Government. We do amazing.
Welcome back to All About Vets, and I have to my right Miss Tamara Hicks, and I'm going to have her look into that camera right there and tell everyone what organization she works for, her name, all her contact information, so that everyone will know how to get in touch, because for veterans and for veterans' relatives, this is some really good information. I'm glad to have her. So Tamara, look into that. Let them know a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much, Mr. Barnes, for having me today. Again, my name is Tamara Hicks, and I'm a military service representative with Columbus State University, and I'm here to share some information about veterans.
All right, how can they contact you?
I can be contacted at 706-507-8865, and we are located on the main campus of Columbus State University off of University Avenue.
And you're also located at...
And we also have a second location at Fort Benning in the Soldier for Life Center.
All right, Tamara, now we're talking about military enrollment, Columbus State University. That's exciting.
That is very exciting. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Next slide, please, because we have Dr. Chris Markwood, who's the CSU's 5th president. Dr. Brown was there when I was there. Next slide, please. Okay, now we can start getting with the contact information. And Tamara, I'll just let you go ahead and talk about who all are involved with this marvelous service for veterans.
Thank you. As you can see, we have 5 full-timers. We actually have 2 locations. So if you're not able to make the main campus on University Avenue, there's a second location. We have our Director of Military Enrollment, Susan Lovell, which you have her telephone number and email address where you can contact her.
Okay.
We have our information at Fort Benning, or our office at Fort Benning, which we have Amina Clark and Camila Warren.
Okay.
That's located in the Soldier for Life Center. And then we have our main campus office, where myself, Tamara Hicks, and Willie Harris are the school certifying officials. And we're located in University Hall in the basement floor.
All right, that's where I went. That's where I went when I decided, I said, I think I still got some brain cells. So I'd like to go see if I get me some education. Okay, and then all your contact information is there where it says Director of Military Enrollment, and we have all that. Let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, now enrollment details. How can they can apply online at www.columbusstate.edu, pay the application fee?
That's correct. So right now we are taking applications for the spring term.
Oh, great.
Which begins in January.
All righty.
The application deadline is November 30th. So students, potential students still have time to actually apply for admissions.
Great.
And then the document deadline is December 15th.
Okay, and it says pay the application, but the fee is waived for all active duty military.
Correct. All active duty military do not have to pay the application fee.
I think that's awesome. And they have to, of course, submit their official transcripts.
Correct.
They can't carry them. It has to be mailed from the schools.
It has to be, it can be emailed, or if they do have an official transcript that is in an envelope, it must be a sealed envelope.
Okay, and so the transcripts can be emailed from the school?
They can be emailed.
Okay, okay. And test scores may be required?
Test scores may be required for those, especially starting off as an undergraduate, if they've never had college before. They may be required to take a placement test to see where they are academically.
And you want to know something, Tamara? That's not bad, because when I went to CSU, they really had to, I had been out of school for so long, and not only that, but they were kind enough to give me, I had to take remedial courses. And those remedial courses helped me. They made me a better student.
Absolutely.
Okay, so then they must also have a certificate of immunization, and it's waived, of course, for active duty military, because we get all our shots.
Exactly.
All righty, let's go to the next slide, please. All right, let's talk about some of the programs, types of VA educational benefits. VA pays students directly for Chapter 30. That's the old GI Bill that I went under.
Absolutely. So before a student can actually utilize the benefit, they need to apply for the benefit, and they can apply for those benefits at vets.gov. And once they apply from vets.gov, VA will then send them a certificate of eligibility in the mail, where they can then bring it to our office, and we see that they have proof of whatever benefits they are eligible for.
So they have to go to that vets.gov in order to do that?
They have to apply for the benefit. Of course, most veterans or service members understand that there is a benefit out there for them for education, but they must apply to use the benefit before they can use it.
Okay. Now, I also see Chapter 1606. What's that?
Now, Chapter 1606 is for our National Guard reservists. Also 1607, which 1607 is mostly fading out at this point, so it's mostly the 1606, but those that are in National Guard or under the reserve, that is the benefit they can utilize if they have not received enough service to qualify for the post 9/11 benefit.
I got you. Well, explain about that now, because I don't explain.
Now, post 9/11 has changed. It has replaced, actually, the Chapter 30, which you stated that you were under the old GI Bill.
Actually, I would have been eligible, but actually what I did, Tamara, I went in under voc rehab, which is Chapter 31.
Correct.
Right, right. Now, what's Chapter 35?
Now, Chapter 35 is for any dependent. That could be a child or spouse, where the service member has 100% disability.
Okay.
So that service member has received 100% rating for disability, so their dependent can utilize the Chapter 35 benefit, which is a monthly stipend based on the number of hours the student is enrolled.
So they didn't get a stipend like I got a stipend when I was going to school. Okay, let's go to the next slide. We have VA pays student and school, Chapter 31. Hey, vote rehab that I went under, Tamara?
Yes, Chapter 31 is a wonderful benefit, and it's for any veteran that has at least 20% disability rating. They can actually apply to utilize the vocational rehab. This student is required to have a vocational rehab counselor, and it's a work benefit. So the student, if they need school in order to achieve a certain level of employment, then vocational rehab is a benefit available for them to utilize.
Boy, this is awesome. And then under this it says, okay, what is Chapter 33, post 9/11? We talked about that?
We talked a little bit about the post 9/11, Chapter 33. Now, this benefit is a benefit that pays the school and the student. So the Chapter 33 benefit pays tuition and fees to the university, and it also provides a book stipend and a housing allowance to the student enrolled.
And a housing allowance.
And a housing allowance.
That is awesome.
Yes, sir.
Now, what is is it free?
The FRI scholarship.
FRI scholarship.
And transfer of entitlement. The transfer of entitlement is for any dependent where the service member has transferred some of their post 9/11 benefits for them to use.
Good.
And our FRI scholarship, unfortunately, it is set up for those that lose a parent or a spouse while in service.
All righty, can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, how to apply for transfer of VA educational benefits.
Yes, this is very important for
for
service members that are currently in service right now, or they're active. If they are wanting their spouse or their child to utilize their post 9/11 benefits, they must go to the website in order to transfer that time from themselves to that particular dependent.
Okay, where do they go? Do they go to
they would go through there. They would go actually to e-benefits, and that website is located, which you all just saw on the slide, at their e-benefits account. Most service members know their e-benefits password, but if they don't know it, they can definitely sign up.
Can we put that slide back up, please? That one. Okay, so
yes,
that's
sir.
the e-benefits.
E-benefits.
So first you must go to the DoD transferability application website to determine if your dependents are eligible to receive the transferred benefits. This website is only available to military members, and that's the e-benefits address right there.
Correct.
Do they have to type the whole thing out?
They do not. Actually, the wonderful part with technology, they can just put in Google e-benefits and the page will pop up for them.
Okay, then that's right. Now, definitely, for somebody like me now, Tamara, trying to type all this stuff here, I'll get lost halfway through now.
So if they just put in e-benefits in the Google search, it will provide the page for them.
Good. All right, let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, this says first, this is okay, I'm stuck on the slide. Tuition assistance.
Yes, sir. Tuition assistance is for active duty service members. So the first step in seeing if you are eligible, of course, is to meet with the education counselor at the Soldier for Life Center.
Right.
Most active duty soldiers will find out from them whether or not they're eligible to start using tuition assistance, or TA, as we call it. Once that step is complete, then they may meet with our representatives out at Fort Benning to actually enroll and to find out the steps on how their tuition assistance will be applied.
And it says who may be eligible for tuition assistance as active duty, National Guard, and Reserve soldiers. And
yes,
like
sir.
it says, and as you very well put it, please speak with an education counselor located in Soldier for Life Center, Building 9230, to see if you are eligible to utilize this benefit. Now, you know, Tamara, when I was on active duty, I tore TA up.
It's a great benefit.
No,
benefit.
For me now, it was only, I'm trying to think, was it 50%, I think, 50 or 75%? What is it now?
Well, now tuition assistance, it depends on how far it will cover you based on what your costs are for your university. For Columbus State, they will pay up to a certain point. Most service members have to come out of pocket maybe $156.
Oh my goodness, that's nothing.
Yes.
I tore TA up when I was on active duty, so I said if I'm going to get a reduction in my education, I'm going to take advantage of it.
Absolutely. You should take advantage. If there's an education benefit out there for you to utilize, you should definitely do it.
All righty. Boy, I'm telling you something. Mike King did tell me that you were smart. You are smart. We're going to take a break, but Tamara, before we go, look into that camera. Tell them how they can contact you and Amina and everyone else that's out there at Columbus State that's doing good things for veterans.
Yes, Susan Lovell, Tamara Hicks, and Willie Harris. We're located on main campus, which is located at 4225 University Avenue in University Hall, and we are the military enrollment staff there. And our second location is CSU at Fort Benning, which is located at the Soldier for Life Center, and that's Amina Clark and Camila Warren.
And give them the contact numbers, the phone numbers.
Our website is, of course, military@columbusstate.edu, and you can contact us by our main number at 706-507-8866.
And we're going to come back with her because Mike says she's smart. She is. She's memorized all those numbers and given all this good information for us veterans. See you on the other side of the commercial.
Columbus, Georgia, tracking your waste pickup is now at your fingertips. Download the new Columbus Recycle app to your mobile device now. It's easy and most of all, it's free. Simply go to the App Store or Google Play, search Columbus Consolidated Government, download the app, then enter your street address. No more guessing or calling about recyclable items, garbage, other waste pickups, or holiday makeup days. This app can also send you a reminder 24 hours in advance. Download this amazing app now. Columbus Consolidated Government. We do amazing.
Good afternoon. Thank you for calling Citizen Service Center.
Hey, I know that we only have once a week garbage pickup now, and since my pickup day is on Monday and that's a holiday, when are you picking up my trash?
Ma'am, your makeup day will be on Wednesday.
Okay, but what if my pickup day is on Tuesday and that's a holiday?
Your makeup day will be on Wednesday.
But what about Thursday?
It's the day before.
If your garbage pickup day falls on a holiday during the week, your makeup day will be on Wednesday.
So what if my pickup day is on Wednesday?
That's simple. We don't pick up on Wednesday.
Welcome back to All About Vets with Ms. Tamara Hicks. And Tamara, the next slide, please. It's telling us about all the services that are offered on main campus. Military Service Center, computer lab with 200 copies. What does that mean? You can make 200 copies?
Actually, the students are able to either print or make copies.
Okay,
so
good.
That's in our Military Service Center. And the Military Service Center is for any active duty, veteran, or dependent that utilizes VA education benefits.
Okay. You got the Lending Library, the Annual Military Appreciation Week, largest event, Veterans Day Picnic.
Yes, sir. Our largest event during our Military Appreciation Week, which it is a huge week for us. We enjoy just giving back to our students. But the picnic actually will take place this year on Thursday instead of the normal Friday, which is November 8th. And what we do, we have a cookout for all of our active duty and veteran service members. They get a free lunch. We have people to come out with vending. We have a DJ, so it's a lot of fun.
Oh, wow. And when is that now?
That is Thursday, November 8th.
There we go.
Yes.
I definitely wanted to make sure that we got that. Okay, Suits for Vets program.
Yes, sir. So one of the things that we realized that some students were getting near graduation.
Sure.
And of course, even though they're utilizing VA education benefits, things can get expensive.
Right, exactly.
When they're getting ready to go on an interview,
right,
we want our students to have
right,
a really nice suit.
Right.
So we have partnered with several organizations and stores in the community to give away a free suit to a senior veteran.
You want to know something? You all are just off the chain. I think that's marvelous.
Yes.
To do something like that, because some vets may be in that type of a situation.
Absolutely.
Tell me something, Tamara. Can you hook me up?
We'll see what we can do.
Oh, okay. So now you have the William C. and Maud M. Huff Scholarship for Veterans and Active Duty Soldiers.
Yes, this is something new, and we saw a need because, again, even though service members, veterans have a opportunity to utilize VA education benefits, sometimes it falls short.
Sure.
The stipend may or may not cover everything.
Sure.
So
especially if they have family.
Most of our students are family. They have families, and they have daycare costs. They have just traveling back and forth costs.
Sure.
So, and books, yes, some of the education benefits provide a book stipend, but some don't.
Right.
And so sometimes books can get expensive.
They sure can.
So this scholarship actually started this particular semester. It awards $1,000 for to go towards either books or anything that the student may need to cover for that particular semester.
I think that's awesome.
Yes, sir.
Now you have partnerships with the following: Student Veterans Association, Department of Accommodations and Access, and Military Affiliated Student Advisory Committee.
Yes, so these partnerships are very important. Our Student Veterans Association are actually students that are attending at Columbus State University, and they are providing community service. They're helping with some of the events that we put on. And then we have our Center for Accommodations and Access, which those students that may find some challenges with attending classes, we have them to meet with a representative with that center. And then lastly, our military affiliated committee is a committee that has been put in place to help review some of the services that we may be able to provide to our students.
Well, you all offer a lot.
We're trying.
Next slide, please. I think this is a photo of the Military Service Center, lounge and computer lab for our service members and their dependents located in University Hall on main campus. Now, Tamara, this is This is in the basement of University Hall.
Correct. So the Military Service Center is located right across from our office, and students utilizing VA education benefits can go in if they want to have their lunch. There's a computer lab next door. There's a microwave, a television. So whatever they need to kind of relax, they have it there.
Well, I'll tell you, that would have been nice if y'all had that bad boy when I was going
you were
there.
attending,
Yeah, to get away. Next slide, please. Services offered at Fort Benning: admissions and enrollment assistance, financial aid, TA assistance, academic advising, unofficial transcript evaluations. Is that right?
That is correct.
Oh, well, that does a lot.
So the office at Fort Benning is kind of a one-stop shop.
That's what I'm saying.
They can actually apply, and they can have if they've attended other universities, they can actually have a unofficial transcript evaluation done so they can see what classes may transfer.
That saves a lot of time.
Saves a lot of time.
It does. Next slide, please. And I think you talk about the Military Appreciation Week,
yes.
November 5th to the 9th, and you got a whole bunch of stuff, but you want to know something, even though we're fighting the clock, I'm going to want to go through it because this is important because it's coming up. So November 5th, 8:30 a.m. to 10, you have, donuts and coffee?
Donuts and coffee.
Can old vets come to that too? Can I?
Come on by.
All right, thank you. You mentioned the magic word, we said donuts. Tuesday, November 6th from 11 to 12, you have a barbecue lunch, credit restoration session, 12:30 to 1:15. What is that?
Now, a lot of soldiers may have had some difficulties, or veterans may be having difficulties with understanding credit, or they may have had some setbacks. This particular session will talk about the importance of credit and how to restore their credit.
Now that I know. I wish I had somebody to help me when I first got out.
Yes, sir.
Because that would have definitely helped me. Career readiness session from 12:30 to 1:15.
Yes, sir. Again, we're just looking at some of the things that students may need once they exit Columbus State's doors. So being ready for the next step, that next job, that next career.
Sure.
They're having a session to talk about that.
Wednesday, November 7th from 11 to 12:30. Ooh, sub sandwich lunch.
Sub sandwiches will be offered to our students. Yes, sir.
My mouth is watering now. Thursday, November the 8th, 11 to 1:30 p.m. Veterans Day picnic. You mentioned that?
Yes.
And it's a free lunch for all CSU active duty and veteran students. And
yes,
Friday, November 9th, 11 to 2 p.m., you're having snacks.
We're just having snacks for our students. So a busy week, busy week.
Let me tell you, you tell Dr. Mark, would y'all treat veterans good up there at CSU?
Well, that's what we're there to do, sir.
And you want to know something, and you ain't never lied. Let's go to the next slide. Care packages for soldiers.
Yes, so this is one of the partnerships that we have with our Student Veterans Association.
Sure.
So during the Military Appreciation Week, we will be collecting items to make care packages to send overseas to soldiers that may be stationed in various locations.
Right, they need these things here. Boy, this is a lot of things that the veterans would need, and I think this is awesome.
Absolutely, and if those out there, the viewers, are interested in assisting, you have our contact information that's on the slides, which is 706-507-8866, or you may email us at veterans_affairs@columbusstate.edu. Our office will be collecting items and packaging them up to send to those service members that are overseas.
At the end of this program, I would like for you to reiterate that.
Absolutely.
How individuals can
reach us.
Because that's extremely important.
Absolutely.
Really important. Okay, let's go to the next slide, please. All right, let's speak about this. Let me try to get it up on my phone. There we go. We've got the Veterans Day picnic. You talked about that?
Yes, these are just some of our pictures of our veterans from last year's picnic. Most of them have graduated. There are a few that are still left that are in these pictures. But
Next slide. Yeah, there's a lot of happy faces.
A lot of happy faces.
All righty, now we're going, are we back? Next slide. We're back to the contact information
sir.
screen again. And this is very important, Tamara, because I want individuals to really be able to contact y'all, because y'all have a lot of good benefits for the women and men who put on the uniform of our services that protect the many freedoms that we have in this marvelous country I have. And so would you give your contact, and then would you go back and after you give the contact, and give the information for the care packages for soldiers?
Absolutely. So our office, you can reach us at our main number, 706-507-8866. And our email address is military@columbusstate.edu. And if you're interested in participating with us and collecting items for those care packages that we'll be putting together during Military Appreciation Week, then you may contact us again at 706-507-8866, or you can email us at military@columbusstate.edu, and we'll be happy to take any items that you are willing to provide to our active duty that are stationed overseas.
Tamara, I just want to thank you and all the individuals who are providing this service at Columbus State University. I went to Columbus State, I love Columbus State University, but individuals like you that take the little extra step to make sure that our veterans are taken care of. Mike King ain't never lied. He said you were smart. You did a lot of that stuff from memory.
Thank you, sir, for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, no, and I'm going to tell you something. We appreciate all that you all are doing, Tamara. You and Amina and Susan Lovell. And you all are always welcome to come back if you have. You can come on a public agenda. Everybody can come on a public agenda, and you can take 10 minutes to talk about the care packages and all. That would be another thing you might want to consider.
Absolutely.
And as I always say to our viewing audience, and I'm going to make it a habit to do this here, this type of information for our veterans going out to the community is only possible through the Columbus Consolidated Government's kindness, starting with the Mayor Teresa Tomlinson, City Manager Isaiah Hughley, and Mr. Mike King and his staff. So we greatly appreciate all those individuals. And until next month, to our veterans, I say, be good to yourself because God loves you.
What's up, everybody? This is Stephen A. Smith from ESPN, and you're watching CCG TV in Columbus, Georgia.
Georgia Department of Labor Career Centers. Assistance for job seekers. Available job listings. Referrals to employers. Employment-related workshops. Career development assistance and referral to training.
You're watching Georgia Job TV, building our state's economy by helping job seekers get good jobs with Georgia employers. Now, here are more job openings in this area.
Georgia Department of Labor Career Centers, assistance for employers, recruiting qualified employees, National Job Listing Network, Applicant screening according to employer specifications. Office space to conduct testing and employment interviews. No cost to employers. Georgia Department of Labor Career Centers. Assistance for employers. Recruiting qualified employees. National Job Listing Network. Applicant screening according to employer specifications. Office space to conduct testing and employment interviews. No cost to employers.
If you are eligible to collect unemployment insurance, be sure you understand your rights and responsibilities.
Well, hi there.
Hey, Lenny.
Come on in.
Hey.
Where's that husband of yours?
Oh, he's just pulling up the car. How are you guys doing?
You mean since George lost his job? We're hanging in there.
Oh, we're doing okay. I mean, you know, I am drawing unemployment insurance benefits, so, you know, that helps a lot.
What's unemployment insurance benefits?
Well, that's the money that the government gives you when you lose your job.
Wow, you're lucky.
Well, I don't know about lucky. Things have been a little tight, but we're about to go up on vacation with my brother for a few weeks. And I'm going to tell you, that unemployment insurance money is going to help out a lot with travel expenses. And on the bright side, I got a new job.
Oh.
Yeah. Don't start for a month or so, so I'm going to let the unemployment keep rolling in, you know, at least until the checks start coming in from that job. But yeah, it's great.
And in the meantime, I've got him working at my catering business.
Yeah, well, you know, it's good. She pays me, but
I do.
she's the toughest boss I've ever had.
Oh, come on.
Oh, there he is. See you guys.
See you.
Take care.
Y'all take care.
Bye.
Once you have started collecting unemployment insurance, you are subject to penalties or criminal prosecution if you do not follow the rules and regulations.
How are they doing?
George and Annie? I guess they're doing okay. I'm a little worried for them.
Mr. Bailey is getting free money from the government because he lost his job.
Oh, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's called unemployment insurance benefits.
Son, unemployment insurance is paid for by employers, not employees, and not the government. And you're only eligible if you lose your job through no fault of your own. And you're able and you're available and actively seeking work.
Mr. Bailey doesn't have to look for a new job. He already has one starting in a month. He just needs unemployment insurance money until his new job starts sending him his paychecks.
You see why I'm worried.
Oh my, Mr. Bailey could be in a lot of trouble. He can't do that.
No, Dad, it's okay. It's not like he's lazy or something. He is working for Miss Annie with her catering stuff.
Yes, and they're going out of town for several weeks to visit his brother.
What's the matter with that?
Well, it's illegal. He could be prosecuted. And at the very least, he would have to pay every cent of the unemployment insurance benefits back. Not to mention penalties and interest.
You know, I'm afraid they have no idea how much trouble they could be in.
You cannot go on vacation for several weeks and still be looking for or available for work. And if you earn any money while receiving unemployment insurance benefits, even catering, you must report that income. And you have to report it for any days you worked, whether you've been paid for that work yet or not.
They should know that, shouldn't they?
I would think so.
Maybe they don't know. Maybe nobody told them. Or maybe they just didn't understand.
Well, it won't make any difference. Ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Dad, do you think the Baileys are breaking the law on purpose?
I don't know, son.
The Baileys are good people. It's just sometimes good people make bad decisions.
Unemployment insurance is paid for by employers. To be eligible, you must be able, available, and actively seeking employment. Any compensation you receive while receiving unemployment insurance must be reported. Do the right thing. Don't commit fraud.
Helpful tips for job seekers. Contacting prospective employers by phone. Write a short script about what you want to say. Have your resume handy for quick reference. Make the call from a place where you are free from distractions. End the conversation by thanking the employer for their time.
Helpful tips for job seekers. Interviewing. Listen carefully during each interview. Show how past work experiences make you a strong candidate for the position for which you're interviewing. Prepare 2 or 3 questions to ask the interviewer about the position or company. Ask for the job if you are definitely interested.
Now, here are more job openings in this area. You're watching Georgia Job TV, a service of the Georgia Department of Labor, matching employers with qualified job seekers to build a stronger, more productive economy for Georgia.
Hello, I'm Labor Commissioner Mark Butler. You're watching Job TV, one of the many services of the Georgia Department of Labor. We provide job search and career development assistance. We help employers hire workers with the right skills to make their companies prosperous. We work closely with the Governor, General Assembly, and economic developers to grow our economy and create jobs. And we administer the unemployment insurance program for workers laid off through no fault of their own. I encourage you to take full advantage of all of the services that we provide, and follow us on social media and keep watching Job TV.
Georgia Department of Labor Career Centers, assistance for employers. Recruiting qualified employees, National Job Listing Network. Applicant screening according to employer specifications. Office space to conduct testing and employment interviews. No cost to employers.
Now, here are more job openings in this area.
Georgia once again set records for employed residents, labor force, and jobs for May, continuing a trend from previous months. The state is approaching the 5 million mark for employed residents. At the same time, Georgia posted more than 4.5 million jobs and a labor force of more than 5.1 million. The jobless rate, meanwhile, dropped by 0.1%.
we are putting people back to work here in Georgia. You take a look at the accomplishments that we have seen over the past several years, where we have set records when it comes to jobs and employment. Right now, Georgia's economy is doing about as good as it has ever done.
In May, Georgia counted 4.93 million employed residents. That number was up by almost 14,000 over the month and by more than 123,000 since last May, adding an average of just over 10,000 a month over the past year. Likewise, Georgia's labor force continued to climb, increasing by almost 7,000 in May to about 5.1 million. It grew by 96,632 over the last 12 months, an average monthly gain of about 8,000.
We're continuing not only to see job creation in the state of Georgia, but which also attracts more individuals to the state and attracts people from off the sidelines. And obviously it's really good for the new graduates that we're seeing right now that are coming out of our universities and technical colleges, but we're also seeing them be successful in the job hunts.
Georgia's April unemployment rate came in at 4.2%, the lowest number since August of 2001. This is down from 4.3% last month and 4.8% a year ago. Jobs were also up by 6,800 in May to 4.5 million. Over the past 12 months, Georgia added 76,700 jobs. Most of those job gains came in two different industry sectors: the trade, transportation, and utilities industry, and the leisure and hospitality industry. Both hit all-time highs for jobs within their industry. Over the past year, Georgia has added more than 10,000 jobs in each of the following sectors: education and health services, trade, transportation, and utilities, leisure and hospitality, and construction. Construction in particular has seen an impressive 8.4% increase over the last year. The number of unemployment claims filed in May was up almost 5%. However, they still remain down by nearly 10% over this last year. There were 76,834 jobs posted on EmployGeorgia.com during May, up 31% over the month. Of those jobs, 36% were for STEM occupations.
This is not, a flash in the pan. We have set the stage. Coming right out of the recession with our partnerships between our educational units, the private sector, local communities, setting the stage for this success a long time back is showing that it's paying dividends today, as not only we're continuing to see Georgia create jobs, but most importantly, we're putting people to work in those jobs that we're creating, which are very good jobs.
For the Georgia Department of Labor, I'm Russ Jameson.
How to use career centers. Prepare before you go to a career center to make sure you get the most out of your visit. Be ready to discuss your education, experience, and skills, and the kind of job you're seeking. If you have a resume, take a copy with you.
Now, here are more job openings in this area.
Helpful tips for job seekers. Keeping a positive attitude. Surround yourself with positive people. Remind yourself of past successes. Replace negative thoughts with positive messages. And make time to relax and have fun. Helpful tips for employers. Utilizing Georgia Department of Labor Job and Career Expos. Job and career expos are excellent ways to recruit new employees. The Georgia Department of Labor sponsors and co-sponsors expos, seminars, and other recruitment events. Career centers conduct recruitment events for individual employers. Hiring events are organized by trained Georgia Department of Labor staff.
Helpful tips for employers. Utilizing Georgia Department of Labor Job and Career Expos. The Georgia Department of Labor publicizes expos and hiring events to attract job seekers. There is no cost to employers. Contact your GDOL Career Center to arrange or participate in GDOL recruiting events.
You're watching Georgia Job TV, a service of the Georgia Department of Labor. Mark Butler, Commissioner. Now, here are more job openings in this area.
How to use career centers. Prepare before you go to a career center to make sure you get the most out of your visit. Be ready to discuss your education, experience, and skills, and the kind of job you're seeking. If you have a resume, take a copy with you.
Because what we're heading towards, you're going to have a lost generation of workers here.
If you're an employer, you might know what Georgia Labor Commissioner Mark Butler is talking about. Employees who can do the job, but they're late for work, they dress inappropriately, or they don't know the rules of the workplace, mostly because they were never taught or never had role models.
Because as a lot of the employers said today, says, look, you know, we have our own training programs now, and we can train them how to do it. Our issue is finding somebody that has the right kind of work ethic and the right kind of discipline and character.
These business people and HR professionals were all nodding their heads in agreement at this Georgia Department of Labor Employers in the Know Summit. Sponsored by the Labor Department, these events are held statewide throughout the year. They're an open two-way conduit for both the Labor Department and employers concerning workplace issues. Today it was all about soft skills and the Labor Department's innovative program, Georgia Best.
We specifically wanted to say, we've heard you. We hear what you're saying, and we're trying to address those issues with Georgia Best.
The program is operating in almost 300 high schools and middle schools and adult education GED classes, introducing concepts and practices such as professional image, attendance and punctuality, attitude and respect, social media ethics, discipline and character, oral and written business communication skills, productivity and academic performance, responsibility and organization, self-management and time management, and teamwork and work habits.
Because you got to remember, there's a lot of students, when they hear some of these things, they're hearing it from the very first time. Because most of the stuff is learned behavior, and in some of these students, the behavior they're learning maybe at home or somewhere else is not necessarily a positive one.
So often we're seeing people that just lack the basic skill to show up on time, and that's number one. If you can show up on time for the interview and on time for the job.
Employers say they would give preference in hiring to applicants properly trained through Georgia Best.
80.5% of employers say they are willing to give a preferential look. They answered either yes or maybe. They would be willing to give a preferential look to an applicant who came with a Georgia Best certificate.
The department hopes students who receive a certificate from the program will be more successful, better employees, and also enhance the state's workforce. If you'd like more information about the program, go to its website, georgiabest.com. For the Georgia Department of Labor, I'm Russ Jameson.
Helpful tips for job seekers. Internet job search strategies. Search websites that offer a lot of job search related information. Visit www.dol.state.ga.us. Have a resume ready to be scanned in case you need it. Take advantage of electronic networking. Helpful tips for job seekers. Interviewing. Smile and shake hands when meeting your interviewer. Maintain good eye contact. Maintain good posture and positive body language. Smile and shake hands at the end of the interview.
Locations of career centers. You can locate your nearest career center on the Georgia Department of Labor website. Go to www.dol.state.ga.us and click on the link to Georgia Department of Labor Career Centers. You will also be able to view the complete list of services provided by the Georgia Department of Labor.
Stay tuned to Georgia Job TV for more job openings and helpful tips for employers and job seekers. Plus, we have interesting videos on services of the Georgia Department of Labor designed to help you have a successful and rewarding career.
I'm Labor Commissioner Mark Butler. Are you looking for a new career? Our website, employgeorgia.com, is your one-stop online destination. Visit employgeorgia.com where you can create an account, upload or create a resume, and search through thousands of job openings. You will be matched with positions that meet your skills. Visit employgeorgia.com and get started today.
This message is sponsored by the Georgia Department of Labor.
Now, here are more job openings in this area. Welcome to Georgia Job TV, a service of the Georgia Department of Labor, matching employers with qualified job seekers to build a stronger, more productive economy for Georgia.
Hello, I'm Labor Commissioner Mark Butler. Job TV is just one of the many services provided by the Georgia Department of Labor to help job seekers get good jobs and employers hire qualified employees they need to be successful. The job openings you'll see listed here are continuously updated to improve your chances for finding a good job. We also have a powerful online job search and listing program called Employ Georgia, where tens of thousands of openings are listed each month. And we operate a network of career centers throughout the state where you can get assistance with job search, unemployment insurance, and specialized employment assistance for our veterans. I also invite you to visit our website, dol.georgia.gov. You'll find information about job openings, career development, career expos, and other hiring events. Plus, there's a tremendous amount of information about unemployment insurance and labor market data. On behalf of all of the staff here at the Georgia Department of Labor, I encourage you to take full advantage of these services and to keep watching Job TV.
Looking for a job? Employers may require more qualifications than can be listed on Georgia Job TV. To be screened for qualifications and or referred to a job listed on Georgia Job TV, visit any Georgia Department of Labor Career Center. Provide job listing number and resume, if possible, or complete an internet referral at www.dol.state.ga.us.
Now, here are more job openings in this area.
Locations of career centers. You can locate your nearest career center on the Georgia Department of Labor website. Go to www.dol.state.ga.us and click on the link to Georgia Department of Labor Career Centers. You will also be able to view the complete list of services provided by the Georgia Department of Labor. How to use career centers. Prepare before you go to a career center to make sure you get the most out of your visit. Be ready to discuss your education, experience, and skills, and the kind of job you're seeking. If you have a resume, take a copy with you.
Georgia Department of Labor Career Centers, assistance for employers. Recruiting qualified employees, National Job Listing Network. Applicant screening according to employer specifications. Office space to conduct testing and employment interviews. No cost to employers.
Georgia once again set records for employed residents, labor force, and jobs for May, continuing a trend from previous months. The state is approaching the 5 million mark for employed residents. At the same time, Georgia posted more than 4.5 million jobs and a labor force of more than 5.1 million. The jobless rate, meanwhile, dropped by 0.1%.
We're putting people back to work here in Georgia. You take a look at the accomplishments that we have seen over the past several years, where we have set records when it comes to jobs and employment. Right now, Georgia's economy is doing about as good as it has ever done.
In May, Georgia counted 4.93 million employed residents. That number was up by almost 14,000 over the month and by more than 123,000 since last May, adding an average of just over 10,000 a month over the past year. Likewise, Georgia's labor force continued to climb, increasing by almost 7,000 in May to about 5.1 million. It grew by 96,632 over the last 12 months, an average monthly gain of about 8,000.
We're continuing not only to see job creation in the state of Georgia, but which also attracts more individuals to the state and attracts people from off the sidelines. And obviously it's really good for the new graduates that we're seeing right now that are coming out of our universities and technical colleges, but we're also seeing them be successful in the job hunts.
Georgia's April unemployment rate came in at 4%.